Tecumseh Sherman Johnson Sr., Junior Johnson, and Jamal Johnson drank iced tea on the patio with the matriarch, Pearl Johnson. Pearl updated her son and her nephew on the condition of her husband. The stroke had left him mute and paralyzed on his right side, but he was as intellectually sharp as he had ever been. With advancements in medical technology, a full recovery was possible, but it would involve months or years of rehab. Mr. Johnson's attendant, Jose, sprung onto the patio, and all eyes turned to him. In broken English, he announced that the senior Johnson was ready to receive his guest in the viewing room. With that, the two men rose and excused themselves, and Mrs. Johnson politely nodded and forced a tired grin. "I do want you to tell me about Ulysses after you meet with your father." "Yes, Mama," Junior Johnson replied. "Good to see you, Uncle Tecumseh," Jamal exulted as he shook his uncle's left hand. Junior Johnson seated himself on one side of the cyborgian wheelchair, and Jamal flanked his uncle on the other side. Junior observed that his father looked very dignified in his Cabrini suit. Junior Johnson had compiled a series of news reports concerning the family business. They usually discuss such things in the third person, as if they were news hounds or concerned citizens. If one of the domestics overheard the conversation, it would sound just like anyone else discussing current events. The national newscaster summarized the story. An unknown terrorist or terrorist had used the U.S. mail to deliver biotoxins to hundreds of people affiliated with law enforcement in Harris County, as well as the 7 bordering counties. The newscaster reported the number dead at 238, but that account was now a couple of days old. The current official total was 318 dead, hundreds more hospitalized. Jamal handed Senior Johnson an up-to-the-minute printout of the dead along with their age and race. Senior scanned the pages with his left index finger, stopping here and there for explanations. Junior marveled at how sharp his father was despite his stroke, and he marveled even more at his father's ability to communicate without speaking or gesturing with his right hand. The first name Senior Johnson pointed to was Athenia Blake, a 27-year-old black female whose occupation was listed as homemaker. She was married to Charles Blake, the white narcotics agent, Junior explained in a whisper. It was expected that the targets would share the fictitious wedding invitations with their spouses, perhaps even showing it to others as well. But none of the Johnsons were prepared to discover that roughly 5% of the victims would be listed as black. Samantha Luna, yes, Daddy, she's the adopted daughter of an FBI agent named Charles Luna. Agent Luna and his wife were also on the list. Well, yes, Daddy. Robert Pierre is listed as black, but he's actually Haitian. Yes, Daddy, Haitians are our brothers. I don't know how he actually came in contact with an invitation. Uncle Tecumseh, it said on the news that some of the invitations were sent to the victims at their work sites. Maybe someone passed their invitation around to their co-workers. Nilda Rodriguez is listed as black, Daddy, but she's actually Hispanic, and same with Guillermo Vasquez and Marco Villon. As the montage of the bio-attack reports compiled from a dozen networks rode on, Junior tried to divert his father's attention. Daddy, did you know that your daughter Gail is one of the few bondsmen lucky enough to survive the attacks in an 8-county area? This report brought a wide grin to his father's face, and Jamal moved in closer to whisper in his ear. He explained that available franchises would be awarded in the 7 neighboring counties, but that Gail would have Harris County to herself. More details were supplied, and Senior Johnson nodded with obvious approval. Upon absorbing every offered detail, Senior Johnson would mutter his first word of the meeting. It was a guttural moan that Junior was able to recognize as Ulysses. After a pause, Junior Johnson stated his explanation diplomatically. Daddy, it's time we start listening to the experts. Ulysses suffers from a serious mental illness, and he isn't going to outgrow it. He needs more structure, Daddy. Much more structure. Senior Johnson knocked his spill-proof cup of iced tea to the floor with disapproval. At about the time the cup hit the floor, Ulysses Johnson climbed out of a basement window of his brother's house less than a mile away. He had cheeked his meds and had stolen cab fare and a cell phone from Nina's purse. He would leave the cell phone on his bed after calling a cab that he asked to show up 2 doors down from Junior's house. As Ulysses waited inconspicuously on the side lawn for the cab's arrival, he felt his manic smile right up the sides of his face. Jesus has risen from the dead, he announced to the world.